Hello, this is Lisa Lee, and welcome to this week's enrichment reading. We are going to be talking a lot about confidence and what it is and what it isn't. And I've been sitting here in meditation for quite some time. And the first thing that happened when I sat down is our guides showed me our gods and goddesses. We've got deities with us, more than one, which is kind of amazing because this is a big, important topic. It's almost everything. I sat down and I was like, yeah, confidence would be great. And then they were like, it's everything. It's the whole... It's the heart of what it means to step into a life of magic that is operational, that is tangible. And so let's go ahead and get some cards out. We've got the Sacred King, the Oath. Let's see what else. Source, that's good. The Sun God. Oh wow, you know what's I'm having this moment right now because I did a reading, like I sat down and I pulled some cards for myself and I went into that meditative place and I got the same damn cards as we're looking at right now. And I don't know if I shuffled. I think I shuffled. It seems like I shuffled. That's amazing. So let's dive right in because this is really important. And I'm going to actually try and get a bunch of cards on the table before I jump right in because there's a lot that I'm being shown here. That shape-shifting on the bottom of the deck as it goes to like what it means to step into confidence is really critically important. And everything that I'm seeing here is like, it's almost like a reorientation. So again, I'm going to get some more cards because I want to be very intentional about how I proceed with this information. Because it's looking at me like a recipe, but it's looking at me as a recipe that is like designed to be shifting its shape and form at all times. So it's a piece of magic. So the first thing that you need to know about confidence, it's not like you have it or you don't have it. It's a piece of, it's a magic. It's an alchemy within yourself that is generated by a series of circumstances or a series of like interactions or feedback. There's an alchemy that takes place that helps you arrive at confidence or lack thereof, but it's not what we think it is. And because it's not what we think it is, there's a counterfeit version of it that we're constantly trying to sort of like attain, and it's trying to like chase it, and like there's a real version of it which is almost like a gnosis. And so let me see where we are here. Okay. Deep knowing, yeah, that's exactly a TikTok. I'm just looking at this landscape here in front of me, and it's kind of remarkable. So, confidence comes from being in good relationship with the divine. That is true confidence. More than anything, if you have an ability to trust divinity, like there's actually nothing that can shake you if you feel that you are connected to the whole, and if you are. And so true confidence and true strength comes with this relationship to divinity. With the shape shifting here though, this is so interesting because we're like what I'm seeing more and more, and I will get down to the nitty gritty of what this means because I think it's so critical for us to understand that we are, as a species, or not even maybe as a species, because I think other species does this even better than we do by like a long shot. But we as beings like are channels for experience, information, interpretation. Like what we're doing by way of like touching, feeling, doing, acting, saying, being is taking all of the stuff that's around us and channeling it into a conscious expression of what it is to like operate in existence, right? And so we are definitely channels. What it means to be in relationship with that which is around us, that we feel safe in our own bodies, safe in our own skin, safe in our own experiences, safe in our own reality testing. There is something really interesting about that shape shifting, meaning like it's almost oh man, I'm surprised that our guides are bringing us into this territory that they are. There's a really harsh reality, and it's a truth, and it's something that it's a known, it's a deep knowing. If we think about it, we don't have to question it. And that is this very real reality that like we are having experiences with our lives where we feel driven instead of just like wandering curiously and having the earth provide for us. When you get up in the morning and you have to go to a job that you don't want to go to because there's a fiction that everybody holds true, that is a system of organization, that is, we have to live like this, there is no other choice, and everything that goes into you being in one way or another enslaved to circumstances, even good circumstances, enslaved to circumstances. What that means is you're channeling something that's exploiting your life force. That's a very basic truth that we can see in our day-to-day experiences of not having the dominion over our world that would allow us to feel like we are truly free, and that we are truly provided for, and that we are truly able. And so when we talk about confidence, we're talking about being truly able. And to be truly able is to be in relationship with the divine, wherein we are provided for by all of the faculties that we have to interpret the world with ourselves and the deity that is going to inform that experience. We're going to be channeling something no matter what we do. What we choose to channel determines whether we are being it's so hard to look at this and not notice that we are in occupied territory, that we have occupied bodies, and that there's something really significant about that. This is changing. There is a major shift going on. The energy of the Earth's consciousness, the mother, is waking up and being like, oh no, what is this bad dream? I did not consent to having my children put, enslaved in this way. We think that the systems of oppression that exist in order to uphold the systems of oppression around us are there of our own making, but they actually do an energetic job in the same way that capitalism does an organizational job of creating an excess for the very few. The reason that that's in place, the reason why we have a mirroring relationship with the unseen world, that is in place as a structure, as a fiction, as a mythology that we all agree to participate in by way of reality, as a matrix. That is all there because it serves the purpose of siphoning energy. It does an energetic version of that on the other side of the aisle. And so where we see this change, where we see people pulling their energy back and pulling their lives back from trying to produce in this way, and that waking up, this is this is a major moment in history. This is a shift from the one side of the figure eight to the other. We're going through that narrow straight, but it's confidence comes from your relationship with the divine, because the divine, through you, with you, in you, you being that vehicle of divine energy, is what breaks the very fabric of what the matrix is, and that's been forever. And so we don't have to even get magical about it. We can sort of just look at the world and those structures and say, yep, that's there. Yep, that's true. Believing in a spiritual counterpart is just believing in a spiritual counter realm. And even right now with my throat chakra, there's so much against this. This whole last couple of weeks, I have 100% felt like Neo in the Matrix pulling the freaking tubes out of my body and being wait a minute. Wait an effing minute. And so, but it's you already know it, you already see it, you have this experience. And so when we have the card laughter and we have the card Virgo coming out, our guides are saying the first thing that they want to bring through is take it lighter. Don't be upset about this. Don't be afraid. This is a co-creation, and this is a co-creation by agreement. And whether a co-creation by agreement is made through fear or a co-creation by agreement is made through a relationship and a collaboration with our creative, our guides are saying our creative abilities and them, our guides. So we do not have to look at this like it's some kind of horrible, dystopian truth. We can look at this as an opportunity to step into a knowing and an understanding of what it is to be so our guides are saying conscious and unconscious. Cracking the code on consciousness is cracking the code on dimensions. Cracking the code on dimensions is cracking the code on time and space. Cracking the code on time and space is cracking the code on the planes and the deity planes and the ecosystem where we live. That's disclosure. That's understanding what space is and what other creatures are and what other aliens are. It's understanding this stuff. And so it's being a part of the coherence of the body instead of just a byproduct, of what we do. And so this laughter, this Virgo, and this the law of cause and effect with Pisces, the spiritual element and the spiritual element that informs us and it informs the change and the transformation that we are in can be trusted to bring justice, like as a result of these decisions and participating in this kind of a way. And so there is a divine guidance in all of this. We are not like just lost at sea. We are not the abandoned ship of, orphans. Like that may be what it feels like. There is this aspect of like, how do we escape from something that's siphoning life force into whatever form of production is going to generate the most frenetic energy that's all for the fourth dimension to consume in one way or another. And so as we heal ourselves, we heal the dimension that we're in, we heal the dimension that they're in. They can't consume of us without getting lighter and brighter and fluffier if what we're consuming is light and bright and fluffy. So we have a ton of control here. In fact, we have all the control. It's our vision that informs the form. And so when it comes to confidence, and I didn't know we were going to get this deep, but we are, and universal wisdom here at the bottom of the deck, and like thinking about this in terms of like the time that we are in, the times that we are in TikTok. It's not really, there's like nothing is like accidental. Like TikTok is like, we are like every minute closer to this tipping point. And so it's like not really like just like a funny happenstance, that we have an app that's kind of like marking the progress of this change. Like we are like ever closer to this major shift. We are so close that we are within weeks of having a completely new sort of like this, like it's a pivotal point. So like I'm just seeing like everything like flops over and it changes the shape of how we perceive. So this flexibility and this peace, be flexible about the fact that we are in the middle of major transformation and major change. Because one of the things with confidence that we have so much in the way of like, well, I tried to do this and I tried to do that and I tried my best and I was my best and my hopest and my selfist, you know what I mean? Like that whole like the way in which confidence can be chipped down to nothing based on experiences of rejection, experiences of the wrong road, experiences of the road gone wrong, like all the ways in betrayal. Our confidence in the world and just like being ourselves and what it means to put ourselves out there, participate, is shaken by bad experiences like that. And I'm hearing, hold on, let me just get some water and listen for a second. That to be flexible about like what it means to step into a place of confidence, because so many of those opportunities were denied you because all of your guides and the deities knew that that's not what you're for. And if they gave it to you, it wouldn't serve you because everything's changing. And the place that is for you in the world is one that's yet to be created. It's very close. The place that was never for you in the world was where you found yourself. You were never meant to have your life extracted from you into avenues of just, like where I'm just seeing like, the hopes just slowly fade and suddenly things go from color to black and white and then you're just like, trudging through. That was never supposed to be what our experience is. And so as we transform and begin to step into what this experience is going to be flexible about the way that you view your luck in life, because you were born at a time where major transformation was to take place. Major transformation was the power that was going to infuse your experience going from this point forward. And the past experiences does not reflect the future. And so it should not reflect any future expectations, because this Five of Cups is about the grief of the losses of yesterday. And this Nine of Swords is like that when these things plague you. So much of the problem with the loss of confidence here comes from a sense of like, I've been abandoned in a nightmare and all hope is lost and there's no love for me left. That's a horrible feeling, and I have to just stop and feel this for a second because I'm feeling a body sensation and I just want to attend to it because it's weird for that to happen like in this way. Hold on. Whoa, sorry, I just did some energy work. All right, so with this Nine of Swords and that Five of Cups being about kind of like why the confidence sucks so badly, like why is your confidence shaken? Because this is the experience right here. Nightmares and disappointment. Nightmares and disappointment. Okay, so with the loyal heart and truth be told, we're going to enter into, so I'm seeing this thing that I said this earlier in the week, this notion of like, you know, a lot of times what we'll do is we'll have this vision of like what we would love to be and have and experience and have be the experience of our life. We'll see a vision, and we will see ourselves over here, you know, in this spot, and we'll see this vision is over here at this spot, and like we look at the distance that it would take to get there, and it's immediately no, too tired, nope, that's, I don't know, like I just can't. Or we think like I would love to, but like what if I can't, you know? And so it's all about this journey, this traveling, this distance between 2 points. There's music I gotta turn down. Okay, so from one point to another, I saw this, when I sat down again, I saw this 9 of Swords and this 5 of Cups. And that's really like looking back at the past and saying, I tried to go water skiing one time and I hurt myself, like, and I'm not going back on the jet ski, like I'm not gonna do any more water sports. Like that sort of thing makes so much sense when it comes to having ambition. But we're actually being invited into, like, this is a spiritual voyage that our guides are telling us to take, where they're saying, you know, you're not bound by this time, this space, this everything. And part of what it is to have a like relationship with the divine is to step into the infinite mental time frame. We're stuck in a finite mental time frame like all the time. We just bob around and like we're just in the time frame that we are. Whenever we interact with divinity, and why we even like bother with divinity, is to spend time, step into infinite worldview, infinite time space. And so when we look at this flexibility and this be at peace, one of the first things that we're being told about this time that we're stuck in, you know, tick tock, is to gain some confidence, is to gain some perspective, to gain some depth of field, to gain some scope. And part of what we need to do when we're gaining this like scope of vision is to take an infinite view. So a very critical aspect of confidence is taking an infinite view. Now, how do you get to an infinite view if you are just a finite little peanut in the world and like this is your experience? Well, that's a prayer. You step, when we go from the profane into the sacred, that step that we're taking from profane to sacred into the sacred is from finite into infinite. We're making that cognitive leap by way of encountering an infinite God. And so that's like one of the first things we want to think about is like we do this spiritual practice not for just this minute. Like there is an ever after, whether that ever after is a heaven, which it isn't. There is something to that, and there's something to that not, you know. Mostly we co-create the space that we are in and that we are contained by and that we are a part of, the body that we are in. And so in the same way that like there is a heaven in your body, you know, at certain times, like there is a heaven to be had like in the universe and in certain spaces of heaven. So anyway, that's just a foray that we're taking. But what I'm being told is that experience with the infinite is that encounter with an infinite space-time and an infinite, like, that's going to be why we start to have a spiritual practice, because it's going to put us on that bridge between worlds, from the world that is finite to the world that is infinite. And when we step into that infinite space, we are co-creating in loyal heart, in relationship with this truth about what we are, and therefore what we are actually capable of. And what we're actually capable of as infinite beings with infinite divine gods and goddesses that we can naturally channel is that our scope can open up a little bit. Our possibilities can be a little bit more. Now, are we going to be tyrannical little misfits that say like, I want to be, you know, a famous something actor, right? I'm trying to think of like what would be a statusy thing. I want to be an Olympic football player. Yes, of course you could. That's where this is sort of going. You know, the fact is that, like, you know, the shape-shifting capability and like what it is to actually encounter magic, what it is to sort of like start at a spiritual relationship in one place and end up at a spiritual relationship somewhere else, is to have this kind of vision. Is it going to look like what you see? No. Like you can bring an ambition to a deity, and the deity is not going to like read the fine print and sign a little contract and give you your exchange. Here, you bought this ticket and now you're going to have that thing. No, they're going to see what your heart is looking for. They're going to see all of the colors of the landscape of what makes you like an evolving being, and they're going to decide like where that intention is true, and then they're going to take that truth and then they're going to co-create with you that which you want and the bigger picture. So it's like it's never as petty as an exchange, which is what we're taught when we're taught prayer. Prayer is more like going into the infinite and participating as an infinite being in infinite possibilities and allowing for an influence and a perspective that is bigger than your own. And so when we think about confidence and we think about this oath and we think about like world building, we're world builders. We have a universe within us. Our life is about finding ourselves and building ourselves in this way. And so we want to stop thinking about confidence as something that can be dictated by the opinions of others. Because there's no greater fiction. Because confidence can't even be experienced with others. Like confidence as an alchemy can be attained and held momentarily under certain circumstances where you get a taste of what it feels like. But to actually hold confidence with that deep knowing is actually to be in relationship with that which is confidence and is with you as confidence always. Like and that can be had, but it's not about score and like a scoreboard with points where like if you do it all right then you get to have the confidence. If you've gotten all the degrees then you can speak about this. That is not it. And so we're asked to step out of our limited conception of like what confidence even is and step into a better perspective about what confidence is, which is a relationship with the divine that is unshakable. It is both like more magnificent and like also like, oh yeah, duh. You know what I mean? Like kind of at the same time. And so I want to get some more cards about this process, because we have to think about process. Oh, these are my favorite these cards. So I collect cards all the time, and I also I always tell people that like I love cards. I love, I just like love them. And so I get cards as gifts all the time. Which is one of these like perks to being me, is that like friends that I have like give me like gifts, and this is a gift that I got. But the thing about it is like it seems to me to be like it's somebody like translated this. I don't know like where they got the deck, but it seems like it's a mistranslated deck. So the words come out of this deck kind of similar to how I experience them come through like a channel when I'm trying to translate. So it's going to be really, I love using this deck because it's almost like, it almost speaks in the language. This mistranslated translation like almost speaks in the language that I get. And I'll show you what that means in a little bit. But let's go ahead and take a look with this, the oath and the beginnings. This energy of the oath and this energy of the initiator, the beginnings, this is really speaking, this is actually a parental influence. And it almost feels like when I said that we have deities with us, like I definitely felt the sense of deities with us. And I felt the sense of Hecate and Lu. Hecate being the liminal space, the getting from one point to the other, and like Lu being the arrival, being that like it's the god of that the energy of like the essence of warrior and arrival and sun and shining one. The sun god for sure. And so there's definitely this notion of the journey, it like entails like a beginning and a middle and then an arrival. But there is something about this that needs to be talked about, because when we talk about confidence, yes, it has a lot to do with having a relationship with the divine. What does it look like to arrive in that way? What does it look like to develop that relationship? And like, what does it look like to let the deities in this way? So let's go ahead and start with that. Let's get some cards there. This is a bunch of really beautiful energy that I'm feeling right now. So also I'm being told, like, think again, like I'm being told the body is the earth. While you have a body, you are with the mother. Your body is all of her elements combined in different ways expressing. So you are an expression of the mother. The impulse that comes through to create your life is you experiencing the mother and yourself with the mother. And so it's like the goddess holds God in a sense in this way, and because she is where things are formed and grow and become. And so this becoming, this template, this is like a practice run for your soul in a way where you're still with the mother. Well, like it's like a baby that goes from inside the womb world to onto the breast. This is the world we're in right now, the body being the breast. We still have the mother with us. She's still feeding us. She's still influencing us. She's still talking to us. She's still interacting with us. And so when we think about like what we are becoming as souls and what our role in the universe and the whole actually is in coherence, what we're understanding is that like in some ways we're almost on like a practice run with her presence when we're on earth in one way or another. And so a lot of spirits have to come back over and over again, like that is reincarnation, because they're not ready to leave that training. And so with this oath and the beginnings, this journey that we're taking, there's this relationship that you have with the mother, and there is the mother that is the ascended aspect of mother, and then there's the mother that is not ascended. And this is how do I put this? Oh, like the dark mother. So we are going to do a whole big series on the dark mother. I'm going to work on that with us, because our relationship to our mother is our relationship to our bodies. Our relationship to our bodies is our relationship to this earth. Look at where we're at with that. Things are not so much great. Like, and that's why we have such rapid like living and dying cycles, because we're just not even getting the opportunity to mature. But the earth is being extracted from, and there's a spiritual reality of like a foreign cancerous influence that is extracting from and hurting and harming that which is its natural self. And so when we are in this point in time, we're a part of the mother's resistance, and we're a part of her healing too. So it's not just that we have a mother that is like perfect and holy and everything. It's there is that we have a mother that we are in process with, in process development with. And so the oath here is that aspect of the soul, that aspect of life that is with the mother and this consciousness so that we're in. So yeah, let's get some cards. Let's put some cards on this process of becoming, and so this process of getting from where you are to where you want to go in the way of a goal, and bringing divinity with you in the way of confidence is sort of where we're entering the picture at this point. Okay, this is gotta get this card out, because this is just the this is good actually. So this is, yeah, someone gave this to me. I've not really had too much of a chance to play with it. I just consecrated it. And so this is the title card, and it says, the best way to pick cards, pick as many as you're happy. Read and smile, right? And so just something, sometime, somewhere, every day is, so this is kind of like when we talk about what life is, this is translated in a way that you'll see is kind of like interesting, but like, yes, you can't do life wrong. The failing and the succeeding, as you know, as you were told in terms of the experiences and the sin and the not sin. No, you're here to experience everything that you can possibly experience with the mother in this way, as like something that is informing your becoming. And she is so heavily with you in all things that what we're seeing here is like, you can't do it wrong. So like when we go back to like, what is confidence? Well, I don't want to make the wrong decision. If you have it in your head that you are here to experience every single thing, then even those mistakes are very crucial in order to like for you to experience these things with the mother with you. You know, when we think about what it is to like experience life and go out there and like have these things, it's like doing it with your mom with you. And the afterlife is not necessarily an alienation from that. I mean, there is a mess right now because of the way that things are structured, but what we're getting here in terms of the process, we've got a good opportunity always comes with effort, and sometimes the sky plays music quietly. Aren't these the best cards ever? I wish I knew where they came from, because I would put a link. Silence is sometimes more beautiful than any other melody. So one of the first things that we're being told about, you know, confidence is to not think about it in terms of arrival or exchange or destination or doing it right or wrong, and to think of it very much as like taking an infinite point of view. If you can walk with an infinite point of view, there is very little that can shake you. And so when you take that infinite point of view, sometimes the sky plays music quietly. If you have in the background of your being a song that is playing that says, I am an infinite, like ever-changing form, ever-expanding, like essence that is divinity itself, forming and informing my, existence of the whole. Like, if you take that point of view, if that's what's playing if that's the music that is playing in the background of your being, that is a very different perspective to bring creation through than, I wonder if they're gonna like me. I don't know if they're gonna not me. Did they like me or did they not like me? Was I wrong? Did I do it right? Or like, I'm confident. You know what I mean? If we had this sort of infinite, and so like that spiritual practice that you embark on is to get you there, because that's preferable and that's also powerful. So like, what it means to hold power is quite literally to receive. And to receive it, to have confidence is to be holding. And so when we have a good opportunity, always comes with effort. Like, this is not an easy life. It's not meant to be an easy life. Every experience that you're having is useful for your development as a whole. You have your mother with you at all times. You're never alone in the process of becoming. But silence is sometimes more beautiful than any other melody. It's like, what is informing your being? And then we think about, so I'm hearing, our guys are showing me like a chatter, like a brain chatter. What is that? An internal monologue. When we have these internal monologues that are always going like on and on and on and on and on. Like, I'm seeing someone's just got an internal, even just prayers that are ongoing in a certain kind of way, like just a chatter about life, chatter about people, chatter about circumstances, chatter. That chatter is keeping you from an experience of being informed by this infinite aspect that is the divine. And so we're kind of encouraged to think about holding confidence as holding power, and holding power is being something that you do with a spiritual practice when you are able to receive, and a lot of that has to do with like quieting that very incessant chatter. And so it's not like confidence, comes not from like, 10 steps of, getting it right every single day until you're perfect at it. And like, practice makes perfect. And then when you're perfect, then you have confidence. That's not it. That's something else. Like, it's in the practice of like holding divinity and holding an infinite sense of yourself that you can actually allow yourself to be the right kind of channel of divine energies. Yeah, because there's the misuse of the muse. And we always want to be careful about the misuse of the muse, because that's a little bit different when something's driving you instead of you driving the experience. And so with the source here and the triple mother goddess, let me get some more. I'm just listening to, I'm going to get more of these, yeah. These cards are so cool. So there's been a lot of interference lately, as far as like what it means to experience like all of the negative things. Like, the reality of what's going on is we are in an ecosystem. We're affected by that ecosystem. That ecosystem is the body of the whole. And when things are being treated badly, and we feel badly, when the earth is feeling poison, like we are feeling poison. And so she's kind of rising up. And so we're having a shifting and a rising up right now, which makes it hard to look at confidence in terms of achievements that you can have in a world that's like where the structures are sort of crumbling. Please don't get mad if the paths we choose are different. That's right. And on the bottom of the deck, we have slow down. You might see what you've never seen before. So when we kind of step into this receptive place, like, the things that we do to facilitate stepping into this receptive place, let's get some cards on that very particularly. What are things that we can do to facilitate stepping into that receptive place? It's funny, like there's a lot going on in the atmosphere right now. In space-time and time-space, like I've been really close to, I've been seeing things like that have been showing me kind of how the infrastructure is, and there's a major spiritual shift going on externally that is almost working itself out through our bodies. There's an intensity with us right now that is about this shift that the mother is making, and so it's kind of hard to be receptive when there's so little trust. So I want to let's all of us take a couple of deep breaths, because actually I feel a tension coming in and I just want to dissipate it. And I'm going to work on that for like 1 minute, but I invite you to just like take that minute that I'm working on it to just take some deep breaths and maybe even bring yourself into agreement with just dissipating all interference, dissipating all opposition, dissipating all fear, dissipating all tension, dissipating all lack of trust. Like, you don't have to join if it doesn't feel good, but like this is where I'm going to go. What an interesting feeling I just had. Okay, I think I felt like I cleared a path. But it was weird. It was like a blockage was coming through. So the Enchanter, Deception, and Trickery. Oh, that's an interesting card to come out. That's our fear all the time. That I did not look at that card. I felt it. I felt it, and then I was like, oh, I got to clear this. This is a terrible feeling. Please don't get mad if we choose a different path. So the Enchanter. Let's get some more cards on what that means. The Orator. Okay. The Scholar. All right. The Forgotten. And the Chiromancer. Right. Please don't get mad if we choose a different path. So one of the first things that happens when we kind of turn off that chatter and just begin to bring ourselves into a receptive place and to actually exercise trust, yeah, like I'm listening to our guides because I'm like, wow, this is hard for me to explain. Yeah, this is hard. Let's get some more cards. I'm gonna actually get more and keep on going like with additional cards. See, what I'm being told is so difficult to like it's very weird to like to hear what I'm being told, because it kind of goes against everything that I've ever known before. But what they're basically saying is like the accuser, the function of somebody who accuses you, the function of people, systems, beings, anything that is going to come in and interrupt you in the middle of whatever you're co-creating and whatever you're doing and say, I don't believe you. This is bullshit. You're bullshit. Things are bullshit. Where's your scientific method? How can you know? Because there's some kind of energy here that says, you know, that the chatter is not incidental. The chatter is programmed in. So when we have this chatter in our mind, it's always in defense. We're always defensive when the chatter is playing. Because we're either defensive to ourselves, oh, I got to get up now, I got to get these chores done, like I cannot have this way. Like we're defending like that this is the right way to have it and that's the wrong way to, you know. I'm not saying that judgment isn't good, but there's something about the chatter being about defenses, constant, endless defenses. I have to do this because of that and the other, or, you know, like the chatter being about like, I don't want to wear that because then they're going to think this, that. Like there's a constant defense going on. And so like the occupied territory we're in, the perverse structure that we're under the tyranny of that is crumbling, that we've already won, that's siphoning our energy for this terrible thing. The deception and the trickery is built in as something that you're always like trying to guard against, like being taken advantage of, always trying to guard against like any kind of like possibility that you might get hurt. And so that in and of itself is a real block to channeling like your creativity. And this is programmed on purpose, because if you're creating with the divine, then you're a threat to a system that is extorting all of life force for its own siphoning and creative whatever it wants to do. And so to step out of that is to first kind of get out of the defensive. And to get out of the defensive, you have to stop accusing others. For you to stop feeling like you have to operate around a defense that has you saying the right things, doing the right things, being the right way, having the right way, is to stop looking at the world around you and drawing judgments about like who's succeeding, who's not succeeding. It's almost like undoing a, like I want to say undoing a bomb, but it's like it's like opening a prison that your mind has been conditioned to be trapped in. It's stopping the judgment wheel in the way that you're taught to evaluate. So you're taught to evaluate in status, and that includes evaluating yourself in status. So if you evaluate yourself in status and say like, I like never do anything, like I didn't like whatever, I'm not that cool. You know what I mean? Like if you're invalidating your own status as a human being based on the status that you see around you. And so when you're sitting in your living room and you say to yourself, I can't write a song and sing it because no one's going to hear it. And if they do, they're just going to make fun of me because, or like if I do it, it's just for me. I don't need anybody to see it. Like all of that defensive stuff, it's like Spirit is saying that this has to do with you evaluating yourself. with a certain rubric that has been imposed upon you. And so that judgment wheel, whether it's judging other people, why, you know, she's too old to wear that dress, you know what I mean? Or judging yourself, like, I know that I can't wear that dress. You know, there's this way in which if you just remove that faculty of that kind of judging, yeah, the sun, we're working with that energy. And then, yeah, this is not being at home with yourself in a good way, right? The sun being that self and that holiness and that confidence. I can sing a song, I can do anything, people are going to love it, is being at home with yourself in such a way that you do not need other people to inform this truth. This confidence is a truth. It's a deep knowing. You don't need anybody else to inform it. And so what it means for you to be at home in that way is to first, like, make your house, the body, your temple, one where that language, that type of spell work and weaving of judgment based on status, based on placing yourself, based on others placing themselves, based on everyone agreeing that this is how we're placed, and if you do this and you're that way, like, just removing that faculty from yourself is the only way that you can do it, is to remove it both in your doing and in your and in your perception of receiving. So you will stop perceiving yourself as judged when you stop judging. But that does not mean that you don't have, like, sense about what the archetypes are and how they're interacting in the wheels of the archetypes and where they are. Like, there's a way in which you can make judgments without that status stuff going on. And so that's kind of what you're being called into, is, like, you know, judging with God from that infinite perspective is also taking a perspective that says it's not about where this person is, where I am, and are they going to take from me, and am I going to take with them. They might be in the archetype of the thief, and you might need to take a couple steps back, or they might be in the archetype of you know, something in the shadow aspect, like the hedonist in the shadow aspect, and you don't want to kind of hang out with that. That's making a judgment. That's not placing somebody above or below you. That's seeing where someone's out and deciding whether or not you want to be a part of that story. It's a subtle difference, but it's a really important one. I want you to listen to that again. It's changing your judgment from being that which you are placing yourself as better or worse, you know, or placing someone else as better or worse. And then your proximity to them is how are you going to relate for them? You know, if you're got your stuff together and they're, like, you know, a drama queen right now, like, how are you going to manage this? Like, that axis, you know what I mean? Like, where they are and where you are equals their bad and your good, that has to be thrown away. What you want to replace that with is, they're in that story. Do I want to participate with that story? I don't want to participate with that story. Okay, I'm not. It's not about, like, better or worse. It's, I'm not going to do that story. And so it really takes that value judgment away from others while still allowing you to keep, like, what it means to only participate in stories you want to participate in. And so this is, like, one way of becoming more at home with yourself, is, like, throwing out that judgment system. It's not even, it's not true, because it's overlaid fictions of spiritual exploitation that are in systems that are failing. Like, there's something so big about that infinite viewpoint that absolves you from needing to be right about somebody and somebody else and somebody and you. And so you may not want to participate with the story that they are, the archetype that they are playing their life through right now, and that means step away. But that doesn't mean that you're better or worse, or that they're better or worse. And so again, there's something about that, those karmic entanglements, that if you stop participating, they stop participating with you. And so that kind of builds confidence, but you have to sort of give up any addiction that you have to judging in that way. And so with this craft and this co-creation and this Capricorn and this expansion with Jupiter, you know, when we have a vision of something that we would like to participate in, or something, a way in which we would like to, like, oh, hold on, I'm feeling something, and I need to just, like, there's a lot of physical sensations that I'm getting with this channel as it's coming through, and I think it's just bumping into spots in my body where I have, like, fear or something. Let me just sit for 1 second. All right, good. All right, just, like, playing with this. So this craft and this Capricorn here is talking about doing things differently, having different value systems. Like, we are moving out of one way of, like, existing with reward systems into another way of existing with reward systems. And so you know, again, like, looking back over, like, history and saying, like, every single time I try, you know, somebody, you know, does something that, you know, makes it not worth it. You know, instead of looking back at history and sort of evaluating things against, like, where you were, what you did, where you were then placed, to understand that where the future and where we're going with this future is one where none of that stuff is going to matter anymore, and that it doesn't play a role in the way that we want to evaluate ourselves or others. And so with this being at home with yourself and silencing that chatter, really watching that chatter, if that chatter ever becomes, like, just basically what we just went over. Like if that chatter ever becomes about placing yourself or placing others, if it ever becomes about fear and scarcity, shut it down. Switch it over to, that's not a story I want to be a part of. Move on to a story that you do want to be a part of. This is how you come into actual confidence. Because if you are in a story you don't want to be a part of, and you are resenting that you're even there and that the person is imposing it upon you, and you don't, and like your guys are saying, you don't want to be tyrannical, but like there is a way in which you can take your the personal feeling personal about the nature of what you're encountering and put it into like an impersonal place, an infinite vantage point in an impersonal place. You can then deal with that person from not having to defend yourself, but rather just speaking from the deep knowing and the deep truth that you don't want to participate. Now, will that make somebody who is placing themselves against you, like if you don't agree with them, then you're above them? Like that's not up to you, but you can absolve yourself of the game. You can put down the basketball. You're not playing with that energy anymore. And so what you do in the absence of doing that, when you realize how much time and space that takes up in your head, is then create into this new life and this new space. That's where we have the scholar investigation and research. So you're getting tricked out of your confidence because you're getting stuck in places that you don't even want to be, in stories that you don't want to participate in, and feeling disempowered by the outcomes that aren't like coming your way because you're in the wrong, so there's all that stuff going on in terms of like what it means to think about confidence and outcomes, and to think about it differently, to take confidence as something that you hold when you hold an infinite space. And so this communication confidence, which is what we're talking about right here with this card, communication and confidence, and this beginnings here, the first thing that you have to do in terms of like stepping into what it means to like really get on your path is be flexible about what your intentions are creating and co-creating for you and with you. And so your guides are, please don't get mad if the paths we choose are different. Your guides are saying that like, don't be attached to a path, be attached to an outcome. And there's something cool with this too. They're saying, don't be attached to an outcome, be attached to a path, but don't be attached to a path that is like outcome specific. I want to get more on that. That people say that and I'm always like, that's not right. No one wants to hear that. Let's see. Let's get more. I'm actually being told to use this too. So Capricorn is like on the bottom of the deck, really speaks to like doing things with values and effort based on outcomes, like related to capitalism, related to wealth, health, and status. That Capricorn energy is about getting from one place to another. It is goal oriented, but in this particular, like where I'm seeing it is we have to move out of one way of doing this that is like very discouraging to the soul and the spirit and the mind, and especially in terms of like what you value and what you're kind of going for, and look out what it means to be coming into a new space with this. And I'm just going to take 1 minute, 1 second. I have to do something with energy. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Something like was very weird and I had to kind of stop and deal with it. Energetically, I just felt this moment in time, we are like, there's just all kinds of like fracas. There's like a lot of energetic stuff happening right now. And I'm hoping that we see this kind of like simmer down at the end of October. But what I'm seeing here in terms of like where we are is like confidence is more about creating the right kind of home in your body than it is about achievement. And so when we talk about this, like, authenticity and speaking from authenticity and loyal heart, knowing who you are. So when you sort of tame all of that chatter and you get a sense of who you are and you're in relationship with the divine, the truth and the authenticity of your expression, what it means to engage with that and create from that space, you're thinking of yourself, like not just thinking of yourself, when you know yourself as a channel, when you know that you are a channel for divine energies, when you hold divine energies, then what you're saying with this, the communication and the confidence, what you're bringing into the world by way of a message, because you're co-creating with the divine, is going to be like, that's where your confidence is. I'm co-creating with divine guidance and I am centered in that and in my authentic voice. That's where you have the confidence, because that confidence isn't so easily shaken by the structures that are around you that are designed to shake you down at every opportunity. And so we can channel pretty much anything. And what we choose to channel is going to be reflected in what we bring through. The kind of vessel that we are is going to be reflected in our depth of field and the character that we have. And that means what's going to come through you is going to be like reflective of one or two things. You know, either it's going to be reflective of you have some, like there's a, so your guys are saying like confidence is not really about how other people receive you. And sometimes when you're in a situation where you're creating something and you think you're co-creating or you are co-creating with the divine and the reception isn't right, there's so many reasons why that could be that has nothing to do with whether or not you should have confidence. You know, sometimes when we are channeling at an expert degree, like there's a way in which the divine genius like comes through and manages that, and it's not always the pace that we would prefer. Sometimes we are paced. And so this notion of like the confidence coming in relationship to the divinity, the trust and knowing that you are co-creating in this way, it's not so outcome specific, and it's not like specific to the way that you are received. And so that can kind of bring in the question of like, well, what's the reward? If I'm not being received in a way that reflects back at me what I'm, creating, if I'm not, like there's this notion of like fear around different ways in which this can be like manipulated. Let me take a look and see what that means. So that scholar and that investigation there is about like, you want to, so your guys are saying that this communication and this confidence is about the home you create in your body and the relationship you have to inspiration and output, and that confidence, that you have in terms of the value of what you're bringing into the world. But the value of what you're bringing into the world is also contingent upon the scholar, investigation, research, doing the work on yourself, allowing yourself to speak from that authentic place. Our voice will fall flat in one way or another if we're not coming from a place of authenticity. Our voice will also not like enslave us if it's not our voice. If it's a voice that you have to keep on putting on, then it's going to enslave you. That's something that's taking from you. Like, we have to think about the way in which we interact with energy as being a parental thing. And there's like the dark mother, and then there's the ascended light attribute of the mother. There's the dark father, and then there's the ascended attribute of the father. And these relationships within ourselves are really important. And having a level of union within ourselves between the two is really important too. And so that's a little bit gibberish because that's like a huge concept that we're not going to get into this reading. But essentially, like this investigation, this relationship with self, this shape-shifting, this this constantly moving through things and figuring out and sifting and communicating. It's not like you're always going to be communicating light, bright, fluffy, divine things. You're entering where you are, which means it's going to be a relationship, which means it's going to be all over the place. So this notion of channeling isn't always about just like bringing through like these sparkly things. It's about bringing through, like, what are you bringing through? Where are you bringing it through from? And what does that mean? We could simplify it down to something as simple as just like bringing through an opinion, but that's not really what we're talking about when we talk about bringing through divine energy. Bringing through divine energy that's something we have to work on, because that's an aspect of confidence too. So confidence is about reception and then creation, and that whole process being so rewarding in and of itself relationally in terms of your divine relationship, that what it brings in excess of that is just like, that's your abundance, that's your gifts that's your provision. So this is about having a relationship with the divine. Now, to have a relationship with the divine, like there is this dance, and this is a dance about you becoming the most authentic version of yourself. Why is it about that? Because anything else is working with counterfeits, shadow. Working to escape yourself instead of working to like integrate your stuff. You know what I mean? Working, like there's so much here about like what it means to like have a good relationship with yourself is kind of equal to what it means to have a good relationship with divinity. When we move from that profane to that sacred space, I'm getting hit so hard by like oppositional like little darts, and we just have to keep on ignoring them. This is such a weird thing when this happens. And I kind of know why, but like, so what I'm seeing here in terms of trying to stay on track with the message, what you're giving out is a byproduct. It's so important to understand that the confidence comes from this relationship with self and this relationship with divinity. And then what you're outputting on that access is praise, and that is all just byproduct. So to try and control everything that happens with everything that you create, like there's these aspects of like, I don't have confidence to put things into the world with the expectation that I'm not going to just be ripped off or, exploited. You know what I mean? Like there's all these ways in which we are stopped from authentic expression and being free about authentic expression. All the ways in which we try to like manage this notion of channeling the divine genius. The divine genius is the divine. That is the energy of source right here. The source. And this triple mother goddess, this magnificence, this combination of that source, being the energy of spirit, and then the mother being that energy of the mother goddess, the earth, what is created of that third aspect that is created from that source energy of inspiration, and everything that you do to nurture that into life and put it into the world. That's like an essential relationship within yourself. That's everything in terms of magic and alchemy and what you create of that third element that is created of that consciousness that comes through that process and that amalgamation, that divine genius. This is like an ongoing process of you, like in relationship to divinity. The byproduct is what you create. It's already rewarding. And so it's how you engage with creation that determines your confidence. And the level of reward makes it not really about what all the external structures of reward and validation are about, because the reward is already built in. And so in terms of this investigation and this research, really getting in relationship with yourself, getting in relationship with the divinity, actually like making that the whole process. The trust is, will this provide for me? And I want to see with the sentinel here, determination and certainty in the ancient oak. The scholar and the research is like, learn who you are, learn what you like, learn how you communicate, because this is how you're going to communicate with the divine. You go from that finite perspective into that infinite perspective. Now, from that infinite perspective, experience yourself. And in relationship to that infinite aspect, experience yourself. This is how you begin to sort of get a sense of who you are. Everything else is built out from that relationship with the self and the higher self in that space, or that with the self and divinity in that space. And so that's going to inform everything else about like what you're inspired to do in life and where that leads you. And that's where divinity is driving the car, and you're not being influenced by these outside sources that are like very consuming, with that fourth dimension. And so the ancient wood and the sentinel, determination and certainty, and the forgotten, missed opportunities and fear of failure. Our values, we do not put value in these experiences. We put value in experiences that produce money. And again, that's supposed to keep us from putting value in the places where we become really powerful and like we can, break the matrix almost. With the divine timing here and playfulness and wisdom, and the bottom of the deck, and energy being intention and split to shadow self. When we have a goal, this is really important about the path. When we have a goal and we're starting in some place, we're just sitting on the couch. We're starting with the couch. We're sitting on the couch. We start there, and we see something that we want to do. We see someone we want to be. We see like a version of ourselves that we would love to have. And then between that intention and like the shadow self is a very big path of, I don't know if I could do it. Nobody's going to care. What is it like? Do I have the discipline? Like, it doesn't matter. That's going to be the shadow self. So between there's the intention and there's the shadow self. And these two things have to work themselves out on the path to where you're going and what you want. And so in terms of having an intention, that's going to be that knowing yourself and being also like inspired with that co-creative force of the universe that knows what you're made for and is going to spur you and your guidance system right into that thing that the intention is coming in strong. You're going to create it. It's being manifested as a reality. The shadow self is between you and there. And so a lot of us just look at our shadow self and say like, you always win, and why am I even going to bother? And like, or I'm not going to fight you again, shadow self. I'll just stay on the couch. And so what we have to do in order to sort of like work through that shadow self is, first of all, again, being outcome oriented in a like way, like we want to be outcome oriented generally because we want some framework in which to like attain our goals by. But to be tyrannical about it has to be that job, or it has to be that person, or it has to be that house, that will lead you into spirals of damnation every single time. And so when we are in this place of co-creating with the divine, and when we are allowing ourselves to be receptive Confidence comes from being receptive to those inspirations that come of that intentional connection with the divine. And then not just being receptive and seeing the vision, but also believing that in relationship, in co-creation, you can get through this shadow of everything that would stand in your way to the place that you're going. And it's not really just about you. It's not really just about you. This is the shift that our guides want us to come into with this reading, is understanding that like the confidence is not about like you earn the confidence by doing it right. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Cancel. Like refuse. Absolutely not. That is not the way that it is. Confidence comes from creating the right kind of alchemy within yourself that is home, that is safe, that is comfortable, that is in communication with the divine genius about what is meant for you, and then acting in confidence that because it's meant for you, because it's the divine genius moving through you, because you are in harmony in your body, and there's nothing really opposing that stream of inspiration, accept the stuff that's in your shadow. I can't do it. I'm too tired. I don't like people. All of the things that come up that get in the way. That's going to be where you call in the divine and say, okay, now I need you to help me slow down so I can see what I've never seen before. And so this Capricorn who has to get it done, who has to finish it, like run, we're moving out of that and into a place where things get done by relationship to divinity in one way or another, because we are moving into a creative economy, and we're moving into a really weird creative economy. The creative economy we are moving into is going to be like a shark feeding frenzy of desperation, wherein there are people that are creating, and then there are scavengers ripping it apart and repackaging it, and then there's AI ripping it apart and repackaging it, and you have echoes and echoes and echoes, and what is even real? That's a weird creative economy to enter. And that's what it's going to feel like. And I've been sticking my head in, and I keep on doing that and being like, you know what, guys, I don't, but here's what ends up being essential then is the relationship that you have to divinity, so that you're not getting frustrated out of like in this labyrinth of what's about to be complete and total chaos, so that you can create and have that creation support you. And so our guides are saying this is a very important point, not like a moderately important point. A very important point, not moderately important point. So I want you to slow down and listen to this real fast. That's funny. Your guys are like, slow down and listen to it real fast. No, but there is this aspect of what is going to be rewarding is your relationship with the divine, the relationship with the divine genius. What divine timing is speaking of is you will have provision commensurate to the attention that you can handle one way or another, energetically or otherwise. And that divine timing also speaks to this notion that the divine will position you. Your reward system is going to be coming through divine channels. There's a lot that is shaking up and shaking down about economies in the next 5 years that is going to make things very confusing in terms of motivations and values. And in terms of what it means to attain any level of power and wealth, it's going to be a very different process. And your relationship to the divine is going to depend on how much personal power you hold, and how much personal power you hold is going to be how much spiritual responsibility you will get, and visibility will be in relationship to that. Now, playfulness says don't take this so seriously. That's the job of your guides. Your job is to create with an open heart and an open hand, knowing that the whole process, that the rewards are in the relationship, that the relationship produces this divine genius and the stream of divine genius. This delivering news and collaboration is like your co-creation with the divine. You're meant to be playful with the divine, trust in the divine with this divine timing, and the wisdom that you get from this whole process. Like TikTok is on this over here is kind of, and this law of cause and effect is like you're almost going to be living in two worlds at once with what you create as in the future, and then it's even more than that. And so there's a lot to be said for like redefining what it means to even create and how to create. And if you're doing it right, it's always going to support you. And if you're doing it right, it's going to support you to a degree where it will be like you will be giving power commensurate to like that relational like responsibility. And so on the long way, there's not any that could be so easy all along the way. I love these. This is so good. So on the long way, there is not any that could be so easy all along the way. It's when we look at this distance between the shadow self and we look at this intention and this distance between the shadow self and anything in the way of a rewarding outcome. It's simultaneously a really long way and so easy all along the way. When you are in co-creative relationship, when you're getting satisfied by the relationship that you're in with creation and creating. Because this is going to be difficult ahead, And so when we think about confidence and the old way of doing things is like you worked really hard, you like achieved it, and then you had it, and then you held it as long as you could, and you kept on making it relevant, and working even harder for it, producing even more. We're not doing that's going to collapse. But this determination and this certainty with this ancient wood, just as the ancient wood is certain and determined in its eternal growth, or like it's not eternal, but it is, this is I feel this energy is this eternal ancient wood. This certainty is in its being, is in its infinite nature. When your confidence is that you are infinite, when you're looking at people as like in some or archetypal story that you either want to be a part of or not want to be a part of, and it's not personal. When you think about the level of confidence that comes from like even just removing the judgment wheel and replacing it with curiosity, like it's a seismic shift from within. And when you think about confidence as a harmonious body, that's sort of what our guides are saying. And so that's not like so unattainable. So our guides are saying the number of times that our guides look at us, each and every one of us in the face and says like, listens to us like, oh, I just wish I had the confidence to like, my confidence. And our guides are like, your relationship with us. Let's not talk about this weird version of confidence that you earn. Confidence is that you are loved and you know it. That is the definition of confidence right there. You are loved and you know it. Nothing shakes the love that you know that you have. Nothing. That is actual confidence. That means you can go into the world and it's not about saying it right or saying it wrong, because you're going to work that out. There's a working that out with there's a verse, working it out in fear and trembling. There's a working that out that happens here with craft. There's a working it out that comes up with the shadow and everything that the shadow does when it, you're trying to create, and the shadow is like, oh, if you do that, any like weird chatter. So you're meant to sort of work that out, but ultimately your progress is like this ancient wood. It's this infinite progress. Sometimes the sky plays music quietly. Again, like that, there is this way in which, like, what's the soundtrack going in the back of, what is, not in the back. What is the soundtrack that is, it's like an energy. I'm feeling it like a soundtrack. What is the theme and the soundtrack, and like, what are you playing? What is the music in your internal atmosphere? Is it some judgment hellscape, like chatter? Or are you like jazz, like jamming? What is that? Improv, jazz. I'm kind of like, sometimes our guys are showing me create. Yeah, like, are you? There's a term that is driving me crazy. I can't find it. Our guys are showing me the whole thing, and I know what they're talking about, but it's making music together, improv, like as it goes. It's a jazz term and I can't get it, but someone knows what it is. That's what we're meant to be doing. We're meant to be jamming. We're meant to be jamming. What I built might not be beautiful, but it will keep you warm and cozy, and let dreams take you away. And so this is another thing here with the forgotten, missed opportunities, fear of failure. When you're not in the judgment wheel, and when you're not imposing the judgment wheel, and you're kind of taking that impersonal stance of, I want to be a part of that archetypal story, or I don't, or negotiating what it means to sort of see where you can be a part of the story and not, but again, not taking it personally if you're not like, so when we have this notion of, creating a relationship with the divine as a form of praise, and having everything that is good about that, and like that is blessed about that, be like your guys are showing me kind of like a present that is feeding you while you open it, like giving you life while you create with it, and then beaming life wherever you put it. And then it doesn't matter who sees it or doesn't see it and what they have to say about it. And so when you're in this place of sometimes the sky plays music quietly, when your body is this temple that is emitting this praise. You know, what I built might not be beautiful, but it will keep you warm and cozy. Like, that's this picture that I'm seeing about, like, the value and the reward is in the process. The value and the reward is in that you have it, that you did it. And that let dreams take you away is like, you don't know what the divine has in mind for you in terms of co-creation. You don't know what the divine has in mind for you in terms of what is and isn't beautiful. Like, you're making something that is so cozy and warm, and that's different than like something to have on display and now everybody can like appreciate it, and if they don't, and like, where's the status in it, right? And so this is kind of where we are with don't worry, let's get lost together. You know, that's sort of what what our guides want to say about, confidence is. It does seem very, very simple. But when we begin to think about this in terms of spiritual principles that can sort of, that lead us where we can, lead us to where we can access what is meant for us. And that we were created for those potentials. And that whatever that shadow and intention and the distance between where you are and where you're going, that it's about this journal. Don't worry, let's get lost together. That's where the confidence comes from. If you're trying to get confidence through striving and might, then you have to keep it up at a level that has nothing to do with what confidence actually is. Confidence is simultaneously like letting your dreams take you away, allowing yourself to get lost with the divine and what it means to create of that space and to create the praise of your authentic voice through that journey. Having a kind of relationship with your body that is home, that is cozy and warm because of these processes. And being playful, because this is not high stakes. That's a big difference from this 9 of Swords worry and this 5 of Cups, like grief, too much is lost, and this Capricorn, gotta get it. It's a very big difference. But ultimately, that's the difference that our guides kind of want to bring in for us in terms of this process. So I want to get a couple more cards on, I just want to hear some love from our guides. I want to hear them give us a little bit of encouragement and love. So I'm going to get 2 sets of cards, just sort of talking about what we're bringing in and what their advice is on what we're bringing in. So this process of really getting into, I think, a place with the divine where you are communicating these things, bringing in this integration. The shape-shifting says that, like, it's not about confidence to control the outcomes. It's not you have confidence because you can control these outcomes and now that you can keep everything fixed in this place in this way. Like, that's not it. You want to have a comfort with the shape-shifting nature of the reality that you are immersed in with this don't worry, let's get lost together, because this is a weird world, especially right now. It's a weird world. And so with structures being as amorphous as they are and values being sort of like, we don't even know what to value. There's like a nihilism. So for us to sort of come back into what is valuable, we've gotten a pretty good outline as like a couple of steps that can be taken to begin to have that reception that gives us that divine information, because it is a little bit different for everybody, and it is a divine genius that comes through and informs exactly us in this way. Confidence happens from knowing yourself in this way and then operating as I know I am loved. Perception, crown chakra, and delight. Yeah. And this is power. So, when we talk about power and coming into your power, the first thing that you want to think about is that perception that says, everything that you're doing is in relationship to relationship and relating to the divine and bringing the divine into the world with you and through your expression. That the light that you have in experiencing that relationship and experience those creations and experiencing that process. And then the crown chakra speaks to that divine presence, that divine intervention, that divine inspiration. This is the divinity communicating with you very directly and then creating with you. It's beautiful. That's how you hold power. That's how you get power. And then in holding that power, there is a confidence in it. This is what we're talking about. There's not another way to do it that isn't the wrong way to do it almost. And I want to sort of just get some more cards of just general advice before we end this reading, because our guys are saying, let's leave it there. I'm not really getting more than that. Let's leave it there, just because there's a lot to sort of work with in what seems like little changes are actually huge. What seems like just making those little changes of perspection. I love that. Making those little changes of perception is going to actually bring delight into your life. And when you bring delight into your life, and there's delight in communicating with the divine, that's power. That's real power. You know, sublimating those things that are out to get you, you know, those that chatter. Let spirit be your guide. Let yourself be guided. This is, you know, true confidence comes from being in a place of receiving, not taking. And so being in that receptive place for that divine genius to channel through you, that's where you're confident more than anything else. And so letting spirit be your guide in all this. Sometimes life stings. I hate that one, but it's true. Not measuring your failures and your success by pain thresholds that are reached or avoided. Yeah, because, right. So having our confidence be something that is determined by failure and success is not it. Sometimes life stings because, you know, things that we consider a failure might actually be a success and we don't realize it. Roads that we are foreclosed to us might have been the biggest blessing in the entire world. Ways in which we lost something may have given us everything in the way of finding ourselves. Like, our lives are not planned out to keep us circumvented from pain. Our lives are not planned out to keep us from having, you know, bad experiences. Our lives are planned out to sort of give us a maximum exposure with the mother to the archetypes that we most have to manage with in one way or another when we're past this point in our development. At a certain point, we're not still in a body and we're in another realm of development. And so with this and that are true, when we talk about the fourth dimension, and it's a dimension that consumes, it's also a dimension that delegates. And so where you find yourself in the grand scheme of things after this life period is going to be a functional part of the whole. And what part of the function of the whole are you? Nothing is destroyed. Everything exists. And once you're born, that's it. You exist. So you're going to be somewhere playing some role in the whole, within the body of the whole. And is your role going to be a role of pulling people out of the depths, you know, and helping them grow and helping the whole glow and become brilliant and beautiful and the most powerful whole that there is? Or are you going to be part of, like, you know, that might be cancer? You know what I mean? Or part that is digestion, that's like necessary, but is that really the job that you want to have? Where you have to always consume, right? And so that's, the fourth dimension is very much like, in some ways, like, you know, when we think about the what we would call hell, we're thinking about the digestive canal, has to consume, trying to siphon, needs life, you know what I mean? Like, never satisfied. That's the dimension that we're in, and we're either participating with that by, like, letting these energies drive us around town, or we're working with divinity to bring divinity into the world. That's going to place us in the world to come in one way or another. When we're in this infinite self, where we position ourselves is where we will be. It's never fixed. We can always move around. We can always make different decisions. That's what consciousness affords us. That's the blessing of consciousness. That's why there's no real sin. But there are choices. And so when we think about how we're going to respond to the difficulties of life, this shadow self and this intention between where we are and where we want to be, we bring spirit, we let spirit be our guide. We do not measure success and failure by pain management. I mean, yes and no. Pain management is success and failure, but there's something here that, let me get a couple cards, because that's speaking to me and I'm not really able to sort of grasp what it's saying totally. Let me see what this is. Sometimes life stings. This is not true. Trust in emotion. Whew. I'm gonna flip these upside down. Well, maybe not. So 5 of Pentacles in reverse. You know, this is kind of like unmet needs, really. And so when life stings, it's because we're talking about some unmet needs. With the 10 of Cups in reverse, the Justice in reverse, the 10 of Pentacles in reverse, and the Moon in reverse, and the unmet needs. Basically, like, this is when we find that we are in pain, when we find that we're in an intolerable situation, when the growth that we want isn't happening in the way that we want it, and when it's causing us pain, when the person that we're with is causing us pain, when the job that we're in is causing us pain, when the circumstances that we're in are causing us pain, that is a call to again, you have an intention. I want to be somewhere else. I want to be doing something else. I want to be having a different experience. You call spirit in to that issue, into that problem. And in doing so, like what we have here in the way of unmet needs, we can flip it over, and when we flip this over, we have this moon, where the moon card is you can't see where this provision is coming from. You can't see that spirit is going to give you what you need. You just are having the unmet need. And when we stay small, when we lock ourselves in because we know that we're arriving in the world with these unmet needs, that's an understandable response, and that's what we've been conditioned to a certain extent. But when we are in relationship with spirit, when we do feel that relationship is good, when we've created that home within our bodies, when we've let spirit in this way that we have a divine relationship, the divine genius, the reward is in the time spent and the experience of. When we encounter something where this hurts and I don't know how I'm going to get out of this, I don't know how I'm going to overcome it, then we are entering in at this position of I can't see, but I am in relationship, and I'm bringing this aspect of the divinity into this problem with me. And even though I can't see the way forward, that 10 of Pentacles is there, that provision is there, it's built in. That justice is there, that justice is built in, and that happiness is there, that happiness is built in. If we just see the unmet needs, we're stuck, even because Spirit is saying the unmet needs might be the present, but we need to get to the future where that intention, that need is met. And so that takes a leap of faith. That takes believing, even though you're not seeing, even though you're not arriving there at the need met, you're starting with the need. You have to believe that the need can get met. You have to believe that you are worthy of that. You have to receive the answer to the prayer of I don't have enough, by way of believing into, I don't see where this is coming from, but my relationship with the divine and that inspiration that comes from the divine genius and that guidance that comes from being in a world with energies that are here to meet these needs, to lead you to what is meant for you, and to transform your circumstances with you in lockstep. Your circumstances are not going to transform without your participation. Your guides you can sit in your house and say, I need help, I need people, I need things. And unless you are creating the roads, unless you are opening the door and creating habits and creating patterns that will allow the divine to intervene. If you have a regular walk that you take every single day, you're giving the divine some kind of a road to meet you with. It's participatory, but the belief, the expectation, the confidence that comes from cultivating a relationship with the divine in this way and setting up a pattern of success as a result of these practices instead of failures related to strain and availability and outcome is a very different relationship to what it means to engage with confidence. And so when life stings, when our needs aren't met, this opens the door for us to begin to engage with the divine in a way where we say, here's the need, here's the shadow, how do I get where I'm going? And then from that place, from that moon card, from this place of I don't know, that sense of your value, that sense of your worth can be given to you. Then you take that sense of your value and you take that sense of your worth and you walk around in the world in it, and people say that person has a lot of confidence, and that confidence brings you this justice in terms of regard and in terms of opportunity, because it's an energy, it's a vibration, and then that justice brings you this happiness in relationships. And so it starts though with the moon, and it starts with relationship, and it starts with this intention. And yes, things will shape shift. What you think that you want is going to turn into something totally different by the time that you get there. And yes, I'm seeing someone, your guys are showing me the Oregon Trail, and people left on the Oregon Trail on their way to California, and on the way everybody died, and by the time they arrived they had a whole new family, and that sounds like really grim and scary. But what I'm being, it's not really that, but what I'm shown that with the shape shifting, I'm shown that you may start the journey with one set of circumstances and end the journey with a completely different set of circumstances. And that's what the don't worry, let's get lost together is. Let your dreams take you away. Let yourself be led by spirit. You start with the moon, I don't know. And then that's the path. But the think on your feet and this and that are true. It's not, we're going to learn more about this, but we're in this period of time where success and failure is going to be measured very differently, and it's going to be hard to keep up. And so that sense of yourself, we're moving with that Six of Swords, we're moving from one place to another. And so it's not really about, like, again, we're not trying to like aim for the stars and knock it out of the ballpark every single time. Your guides, our guides, like, they're saying, like, we have a plan for you, we have a position for you, there's what's meant for you, we're positioning you or moving you in that way. But do not look for external systems of validation to validate the way in which we're having you create going forward. Because yes, you need to get paid. Yes, you need to get like the reward system in like a way that is tangible. There will be provision. I see that without a doubt. But what you're going to value, I see, like, I keep on seeing that journey with the Oregon Trail, like what you have right now and where you're starting and everything that you're with right now and doing right now, it's going to look really different. But you're going to get an equal value, and that doesn't mean you're going to lose your family. I'm just seeing this like very different change. And so this and that are saying, like, yes, you're going to get there. No, you're not there yet. And this is the path that you're on, and that it's embarking on the path and enjoying the path that is where we're going to give you all of this stuff. It's not in getting frustrated that you just don't know, you don't want to start, it's too hard. The path is the reward. The path is the reward completely. And so that think on your feet is like, stay in the present with what it means to work with the divine in this way, to get your needs met in real time in relationship with the divine, but also moving towards those goals, creating those inroads, and then trusting in the magic that will follow. And so, with that Six of Swords here, I think that's where we're kind of leaving it. Law of cause and effect. The movement will ensure movement. A lot is happening very quickly for all of us, actually, seeing this now. But that shape-shifting on the bottom of the deck is like saying that the landscape, things are changing. Page of Cups, King of Swords, and the Two of Cups, and that Eight of Cups with that Three of Pentacles. Walking away from building things in the way that we once built them and moving into building things in a new way. And it's going to have a lot to do with technology, because I'm seeing the internet. And so the invention of the internet changed commerce forever. There's a way in which walking away from the old ways of building things and stepping into a new way of looking at opportunity and engaging with others with this Two of Cups. And so there's a lot going on here in terms of like major changes that our guides want us to be ready for. And in terms of confidence, it's really more important now than ever to not get your confidence from external systems of validation, because all external systems of validation are collapsing around you and then within people. So this is the key, is getting that homeostasis, that harmony within, and also really having that relationship with the divine where it's like validated. So let's leave it there. I hope that was helpful. I'm looking forward to listening to this. I know it kind of got a little bit jumbled, but I'm going to be thinking about this stuff for a while, because this is really this is changing the way I see confidence for sure. Sort of. I mean, I've always kind of had confidence, and I think this is why, but now I'm seeing that, like, when I think I should be having a different kind of confidence, this is the kind of confidence. Because this is resonating for me in terms of what confidence is. So I'm going to leave that there. I hope that was helpful, and sending all the love and encouragement your way. And I'll see you again next week.